He's owned and managed successful businesses. He co-founded a company called Leadfoot Express Corporation, which was the same day and overnight package express company, which in 7 years he was there grew from 2 people, which I assume you were probably one of them, to about 200 employees. After selling that company in 1992, he went to work for a document storage company where he helped turn around, and in 2007, he joined the Capital District Farmers Market just outside Albany as their general manager. That market there is owned by a cooperative of about 440 farmers, and in the 6 years there, he made pretty significant improvements, so much that he caught the attention apparently of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Commissioner Steve Troxler, who hired Fred to come to Charlotte and here in April. And he was telling me that his wife has not yet joined him after living in New York all her life. She is coming, right? That is true. Okay. Fred has received numerous recognitions, including the Executive of the Year by the Albany Executives Association. He serves on the board of the National Association of Produce Market Managers. He's been involved in community service throughout his life as a volunteer with the Heart Association, the Upstate New York Regional Food Bank, the Washington Community Action Program, and was twice recognized by the Albany office of the Muscular Dystrophy Association as their Volunteer of the Year. He's also served on the Schenectady Symphony Orchestra Board. Fred is a Rotarian. He's a Paul Harris Fellow and is the past president of the Hudson Shores Rotary Club, where last Wednesday I heard he was recognized by that club as their Rotarian of the Year. So help me welcome Rotarian Fred.
Thank you, David, and thank you, fellow Rotarians, for having me here today. It's indeed a pleasure. Can I see a show of hands of how many have been to the Charlotte Regional Farmers Market? Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that I would get that many hands. Charlotte, North Carolina. I never thought I would move 800 miles from my home, where I've lived most of my life at 61 years old, and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is an amazing area. It's a modern, progressive, bustling city. There are all kinds of things to see and do. Just a couple hours from the mountains, just a few short hours drive from the Atlantic Ocean. That is, unless my bride is driving, in which case it could take considerably longer. I love the fact that I just closed on a house here last week that would have cost double what I paid, would have paid in Schenectady, New York for the same house. I love the fact that the taxes on my new home are 1/3 of what I paid in taxes on my home in Schenectady. And they're 20% of what I would pay on a comparable home in Schenectady. I love that there are so many Rotarians in Charlotte, so many Rotary clubs. When I finally figure out what my schedule is going to be, I'll find one to join. And I love that there are so many colleges and universities here, and that's marvelous. And I especially appreciate where the NASCAR drivers are trained. I'm sure you've all been there. It's called Interstate 85. One of the things newcomers to Charlotte probably notice is the traffic. Now, I noticed how courteous the drivers were. Those of you who chuckle have obviously never driven on I-90 through Albany, New York. That's where they don't measure the distance between you and the car in front of you or the car behind you by car lengths. It's measured by inches. And if you leave more than a half a car length, somebody's going to find a way to fit their car in there. And I've discovered here that you have electronic loops in the entrance ramp to every major highway. That's the only thing I can figure. What it does is it disables your turn signal So you can't possibly signal lane changes when you get on the highway. By the way, that electronic loop, that also activates cell phones. But the biggest reason I've come to love Charlotte in just 3 short months is the people. It seems it doesn't matter what color your skin is, where you come from, everybody treats you with respect. And that is just so amazing to me. Please and thank you are not the exception, they're the rule. And strangers think nothing of opening doors for you. I find that phenomenal. But then again, you have to realize I'm from New York. So what made a 61-year-old man move 800 miles from the place he's lived almost all his life? Many that move here will tell you it's the weather or the taxes they're getting away from. The primary reason I moved here was my new employer. For the past 6 years, I've been a member of the National Association of Produce Market Managers. This is a group that has conferences twice a year, educational conferences. And when we go to those conferences, it seems like all the managers from all over the country are complaining about their employer, who they work for, and the problems they have, and so forth. Well, the managers from the state-operated North Carolina farmers markets always spoke very highly of their employer, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. I never heard them say anything negative. It was always about the support they got. Now, 2.5 years ago, I was on my way down to a board retreat down in Florida for this organization. I stopped to see my friend Bill in South Carolina. And he showed me this magnificent house he had built out in the country at 40 acres, beautiful farm, horses and barns and so forth. And I just imagined how much it would cost to build a house around Albany, New York. And then he told me how much he paid in taxes. And it was less than I was paying for my house in Schenectady. It was absolutely amazing. And he invited me to move down there when I retired. He would give me a couple acres of his land to put in place. And I started thinking about it seriously. And when I got to the board retreat down in Florida, I was talking to Ronnie Vest, who's the manager of the Raleigh market. And I was telling him, I said, you know, that South Carolina's it's got to be a great place to retire. You got the weather, the low taxes, and you seem to have all the same services and everything. And he looked right at me and very seriously said, you know, North Carolina has that too. We're just not quite as backwards as South Carolina. So, 2 years ago, at that same meeting, by the way, is when Ronnie encouraged me to move south. So the following year, when I was at the same meeting in January there, Ron said to me, he said, have you ever considered moving to the Carolinas before you retire? And I said, well, my wife and I have talked about it. And she kind of likes the idea of getting away from 63 inches of snow every year. And so he said there may be an opening this year at the Charlotte market. And because he had always spoken so highly of the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, he caught my attention with that. So when they posted the job last December, I applied for it. Frank Sudreth, the manager for almost 30 years at that market, had retired. By the way, Frank Sudreth has been a Rotarian for 41 years and has had perfect attendance. I did more research on the area. My wife and I stopped in January and checked out Charlotte and the area. And that's when I noticed the people. Absolutely tremendous. I was welcome no matter where I went. It was just incredible. People didn't treat me with suspicion. They said hello to you, perfect strangers walking down the street saying good morning to you. I mean, where does that come from? It comes from Charlotte, that's where it comes from. The primary reason I was hired by the department is change. They realized that the market was successful, but it could be more successful, but it had been operated the same way for the past 30 years. And change is one reason I've been successful in my career. And I never realized how much the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services touched everybody's life every day until I got down here. And the department was good enough to lend me a video. Jessica, will you go ahead and play it? This will tell you about the whole department, and it's very brief.
You probably know that the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services works with farmers. What you may not know is that it touches your life every day. Yep, every day, in so many ways. Some might surprise you. Say you're pumping gasoline. Who makes sure that the gas pump is accurately registering the gallons and cents as they tick by? The department works to ensure you're getting what you're paying for by inspecting all commercial weighing and measuring devices in the state for accuracy. That includes scales, scanners, gas pumps, taximeters, and more. They even inspect packaged goods to see if they contain the stated net contents.
I'm Brian Moore, the gasoline and oil inspector. I am North Carolina Department of Agriculture. I touch your life every day.
When you hire an exterminator, how do you know they're using safe chemicals and providing you with high-quality service? The department protects public health and safety by regulating the pesticide and pest control industry. Through commercial licensing and inspection of pest control treatments, they work to prevent deception, fraud, and unfair trade practices, and to assure high-quality workmanship.
My name is Dean Wade, Structural Pest Inspector. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
You support the state's agriculture industry every time you buy a product produced in North Carolina. But how do you know it's a North Carolina product? The department promotes North Carolina's agricultural businesses by marketing their products in stores and at events with the Got to Be NC campaign.
Hi, I'm Randy Manis, Retail Marketing Specialist. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
The department also runs 5 regional farmers markets across the state that give you places to buy fresh North Carolina products. Why is it important to support and promote the farming, forestry, and horticultural industry in North Carolina? It's a big part of the state's economy, that's why. Agriculture accounts for nearly 20% of North Carolina's income and is still the #1 industry in the state at more than $70 billion a year. The department represents farms of all sizes, not just the big ones, and it works to get their products to markets across the state, the nation, and the world.
I'm Monica Wood, Marketing Specialist. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
You want products that are high quality and of good value, and you'd like to buy local North Carolina products. But how do you know that a North Carolina product is of good value? Department research stations across the state cooperate with scientists at land-grant universities to research and develop ways to make farming more efficient, productive, and profitable, while maintaining environmental quality and providing you with safe and affordable products.
I am Joe Hampton, Superintendent of the Piedmont Research Station. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
The department has regional agronomists who consult with North Carolina growers on site to help them to troubleshoot nutrient and pest problems, to implement cost-effective and environmentally sound management practices. The result is smarter growers and better products at a better value for you.
I'm David Dykes, Regional Agronomist.
I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
The department has veterinarians who inspect and regulate livestock and poultry farms, help farmers diagnose disease, and respond if there's an emergency outbreak of disease. Department veterinarians also enforce the Animal Welfare Act, inspections of private and public animal shelters, kennels, and pet shops.
I am Joe Blumquist, Outreach Coordinator. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
There's a lot that happens to some products between the farm and the shelf at the grocery store. Who's making sure that these foods and other products are safe for you and your family?
I'm Jana Sproul, Food Regulatory Specialist. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
The department inspects and analyzes foods, feeds, drugs, cosmetics, and a host of other products, even automotive antifreezes. They work to ensure that these products are safe, wholesome, and properly labeled. Their goal is to protect you against unsafe, deceptive, and fraudulent products.
I'm Stanford Murphy, a microanalytical chemist. I am North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I touch your life every day.
And you don't want to bring unwanted or dangerous pests into your yard or neighborhood. The department protects the state's agriculture and natural environment from introduced plant pests, including insects, diseases, and noxious weeds. Providing nutritious meals to school children is a goal of school systems across the state. Guess who helps make that happen? The department's Farm to School program works to place more fresh North Carolina produce in schools statewide. The department also distributes USDA commodities to schools, food banks, and other charitable institutions. In order to have good North Carolina produced food, we have to have North Carolina farms. And with the state having lost over 1.5 million acres of forest and farmland since 1990, we need to work to preserve the working farms we have left.
As Commissioner of Agriculture for the state of North Carolina, I've made keeping working family farms in business my top priority.
In addition to the many other department programs that assist farmers, the department supports the purchase of agricultural conservation easements on farm, forest, and horticultural lands. They also fund public and private programs that promote profitable and sustainable family farms. And of course, everyone's favorite Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services program is our state fair. Actually, we have two. The North Carolina State Fair in Raleigh and the Mountain State Fair outside Asheville are held every fall. Exhibits, livestock competitions, rides, games, and entertainment draw crowds from across the state to celebrate North Carolina's vibrant agricultural community. So now you can see how the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services touches your life every day, making it better and safer in so many ways.
I am
the North Carolina
Department of Agriculture.
Department of Agriculture,
and I touch your life
Touch your life.
Touch your life
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
every day.
Every day. All day, every day.
Thank you, Jessica. I am the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I'm Fred Cole. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about the market now. It's a 22-acre complex. It's got 5 buildings on it, as most of you know. It's open Tuesday through Saturday, from 6 and 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Sundays, this time of year, 12 to 6. Weekdays and Sundays, we only have 15, maybe a few more farmers and other vendors. And we get 1,200 to 2,000 customers through there to shop. Saturdays, however, all the buildings are full, or 4 out of the 5. One of the buildings is just North Carolina farmers. If they happen to show up, we'll try to put in some other North Carolina product, a baker or something that's made in California, or North Carolina. Saturdays, the market explodes. We have 150 farmers and other vendors. Typically, we have 10,000 people there. It's incredible. Saturday mornings, and which is when you really have to go, because you take advantage of the lower prices with so much competition there. And it requires 3 people just to direct traffic coming in the market. And in addition to the farmers, we have resellers who buy from North and South Carolina farmers and sell in another building. And we have another building that's a greenery shed with all kinds of plants and trees and so forth. Those come from both North and South Carolina, but mostly North Carolina. We also have a craft barn. One whole building is full of nothing but crafters selling handmade products, most of them from North Carolina. We have a waiting list of over 50 vendors and farmers to get into that market on Saturdays. We're just booked completely. Everybody wants a piece of those 10,000 people. I've made some changes at the market since I've already been there. I've tried to make the market a little more user-friendly. We've brought in some new vendors. We now have fresh fish at the market. We have prepared foods. Carvel ice cream is even there on Saturdays. And we partnered with the county health department. There's a gal by the name of Megan Dean that works for the health department. She's a marvelous person. She's a nutritionist. When we get bus loads of school children in or kids coming from summer camp, she comes out and talks to them about nutrition. These are things that have never happened at the market before. And we're going to be making a lot more changes too. And fortunately, I have the full support of the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services behind me. People like Ron Moore, the Assistant Director of Marketing for the department. He is a phenomenal person to do business with. I don't know how to do things, how to buy things, where to get things. All it takes is a call to Ron Moore. Tom Slade, who's the Director of the Marketing Department. Tremendous person. He said, call me anytime, day or night. Fortunately, I've only called him during the day so far. And the other market managers in particular, Rick Cecil from the Piedmont Triad market, he's come down to my market a couple of times to help me out, help me get through the paperwork of the state and explain things. Again, a tremendous person to work with. And I also get help from the marketing specialists in Raleigh. 3 weeks ago, we had our first watermelon day at the market, a Friday, and marketing specialists came in from Raleigh, along with the, believe it or not, North Carolina has one, the watermelon queen. And together they worked to give out free slices of watermelon, hundreds and hundreds of slices of watermelon to the crowd that came there that Friday. Last Friday was Peach Day, again. This time I had 2 marketing specialists come from Raleigh. We were giving out homemade peach ice cream. I don't know how many scoops of that they gave away, but it was hundreds. We gave away so much. And then we were supposed to give it away between 11 and 1. Well, about 12:15, we ran out of ice cream. So we started giving out peaches. Locally, Councilwoman Mayfield, she's come over to visit me. She's trying to help me get some programs going. Brad Richardson, who's from the City Economic Development, he's helping me out. The first thing he did was contacted the Department of Transportation. They are doing a census of all the signs pointing to the market, so it's easier for people to find. Oh my goodness, I just got handed a note. I've got 2 minutes. So let me just tell you one more thing. I'm putting together an advisory committee. It's going to be vendors, it's going to be customers. If anybody's interested in sitting on this advisory committee, we're going to be meeting once a month starting sometime this fall. I need feedback from people. I need somebody to bounce ideas off of. So if you're at all interested in helping me out, sitting down one evening a month to serve on my advisory committee, please make sure I get your business card. All kinds of other changes we're going to be making at the market, but I can't end without giving, I brought 5 baskets of produce with me to give away. And I'm going to ask our president to go ahead and find out who they're going to.
Well, first, let's thank Fred for a great presentation. I'm done with a minute or so of questions and answers. The power of the president. I get to pick the people. Hank, because it's your birthday. Bill Allen, because you gave a contribution. Jessica, because you're the hardest working person in Rotary Club. May, because we're glad to have you back. And Karen Price, who took on this quarter's quarterly programs. So